if you're comfortable.
Could you imagine watching a sport where violence was the main goal, where you're sitting up in the stands and next thing you know, someone's drowning or dead? Well, that's how it was for water polo in the 1800s. A lot has changed and evolved for this sport, however, a lot of people don't know about it. For the past 10 years, water polo has taken up a lot of my time, and I've learned to love it and hate it, and I've learned a lot about it. So today I'm going to tell you how its rules, history, and popularity has changed since the 1800s. I'm going to first talk a little bit about what water polo is and its rules. Water polo is a combination of hockey, basketball, and soccer. It applies some of the same rules and skills. For basketball, players set picks and create drives. Just like in water polo, we create picks and set drives. In soccer, there's a goalie. In water polo, we also have a goalie to protect the net floating in the water. And in hockey, there's a violent aspect. For all major fouls, water polo players are sent to a corner for 20 seconds called the penalty box. In water polo, there's also 7 players, 1 goalie, and 6 field players. There's lots of rules for water polo. First of all, the players are not allowed to touch the bottom, even for a rest. And you must only use one hand at all times, even when catching the ball. The only person allowed to use 2 hands is the goalie. There are 4 7-minute quarters. And believe me, this is the longest 7 minutes of your life because you're constantly going back and forth, and there's no rest. Many things are illegal in water polo also, but they still happen. And according to the USA Water Polo website, the most popular foul is pulling people's legs away as they swim. And if this does happen, they're sent to the penalty box for 20 seconds. I have to say that I've done this a few times. It hasn't happened to me, but I've been the one that pulled. And also, players wear very tight swimsuits because what happens is the opponents will come up to you, grab your swimsuit, and yank you down. So water polo players go through lots of swimsuits, and you can only imagine where else they try to grab. And they'll also grab your skin, too. If you're wearing a tight swimsuit, they'll latch onto your skin and yank you down to hold you down from getting the ball. So water polo has continuously changed ever since it's become a sport. So let's see how it's changed since the 1800s. According to the Collegiate Water Polo Association, the game was invented by a few British resort owners to attract people to stay at their resorts. At first, the main focus of water polo is based off of strength and not skill. A ball made of pigskin was used, placed in the player's swimsuit, and they would swim underwater to the other side of the pool. However, this is when most drownings occurred because the opponents would come and hold them under and try to grab the ball that was hidden in their swimsuit. And it wasn't until 1880 when rules were adopted. A larger ball was formed, and it was considered illegal to tackle the opponent. And in 1888, an English swimmer named John Robinson introduced this sport to the United States. However, the U.S. did not adopt the new rules. They kept the same rules based off of violence, and it wasn't until 1912 when the new rules were adopted, and the sport was no longer like rugby, and instead it was like soccer, where nobody could mess with the opponents unless they had the ball. This rough sport brought lots of popularity throughout the world. It especially gained lots of attention in European countries. And many famous people such as Prince William and Sean Paul have participated in water polo. It is also popular in many other forms. For instance, I'm from Hawaii, and once a year we get to we play surf polo, and it's just like water polo, but instead we're on surfboards. And there's also a thing called inner tube polo. It's for a lot of inexperienced water polo players, and what you do is you just play water polo, but you're in inner tube, and it allows you to play the game and experience it without having to tread water for the whole time. And also, water polo was one of the first Olympic teams added to the 1900s. However, unfortunately for the girls, they were not allowed to play at this time because it was considered too brutal. Once water polo became more popular, then the women started joining. And it wasn't until 2000, during the Sydney Olympic Games, that water polo was introduced as a girls' sport. Along with Canada, the United States is ranked top in all women's Olympic sports. So as you can see, a lot has changed with this sport. As I conclude my speech, I hope you learned a little bit about water polo and the changes in rules, history, and popularity. So next time you watch the Olympics, turn on a game and maybe watch a little bit of water polo,
And who knows, you might see some swimsuits falling off or something.